name is Eric Cohn. I am a vice president with RunSignup. I've been in the running nonprofit industry for the better part of about 15 years. My background, I was actually a senior software developer for many years and started a competitor to RunSignup called RaceIt, sold that, and got fortunate, and Bob hired me and said that you did an okay job with RaceIt, we'll take you. I've now been with RunSignup for, let's see, almost 3 years, and it has been a fun ride. And one of the things that I love about RunSignup is that we are focused on technology and data, and that is one of the things that I'm going to try and give you some guidance on how to use our CRM for your marketing campaigns. And then potentially, if we have some extra time at the end, I was going to show you how to manage some of your more complex multi-race bundles and packages, if you will. If I don't get that today, I can show you tomorrow in multi-race how to pull those reports in CRM. We're actually spending a fair amount of time on that specific use case right now. And Rich, who works with Tom, is actually working on it today to try and improve the accuracy even to a better degree. So let's jump in. What is CRM? So in our world, CRM is basically all of your data that you have collected from the RunSignup platform, potentially imported in as well, that is customer related. So when you look at a participant or a donor or a fundraiser or volunteer member, if you have a club, all of those people have one thing in common. They're humans. So we have a contact, in a sense, that makes up that person. So now how do you interact with that person is going to be amplified by our CRM, and that you can now customize your communications based on what is traditionally called personas. So you can create lists, and those created lists become personas. You could go, hey, I'm going to create a list that is going to be unique to females 35 and up. And now all of a sudden, you can actually start to do A/B testing on that persona of 35 and up female. And that will allow you to determine long-term, with all the analytics that we have with RaceInsights, sort of to see A/B testing on that persona, what is your best marketing spend? Because you can go in and you can do an email campaign one time, you can post it on Twitter, and you can post it on Facebook. You can even do a Facebook custom audience. And with that, all of the ROI is going to drop back into our CRM, and you can actually see where they came from year over year over year. So the idea is that now our CRM is going to start collecting all that information for you and allow you, maybe not immediately to take action, but pretty darn quickly take action to start moving in the right direction to improve your return on investment on your marketing. Our CRM allows you to engage your participants as customers. You can grow your registrations with targeted marketing campaigns. You can build relationships with the personalized communications. You can analyze the success of your campaigns. You don't actually have to do that in the CRM, but you can. On the dashboard itself, you literally can see the successful campaigns that you've run if you're using the source tracking. And then the obvious goal of everyone here is probably to cultivate really good, loyal participants, not just year over year, but potentially across your races. So the idea is that we're going to try and help you provide a marketing platform that will allow you to do that. So I believe it was in the fall that we've released the source tracking integration with our CRM. And the biggest client that we had already talked about really took it to a new level. They implemented source tracking codes on every single thing that they did when they launched. So they could do A/B testing on tens of thousands of emails that went out. Source tracking is very, very simple. You literally, in the menu, just type in source tracking, and you can go in and create a code. Those codes, hardly can tell, but they're basically links. And these links would replace your standard register now link on an email or on your website. You can shorten these URLs out or these links out if you go to a shortener. There's all sorts of places that you can put a long URL in and make them shorter. So I would take these. There's two that come for every source tracking code. One is the race page, and that could be the actual default domain name for your race. And then the other is the actual registration flow to get people to sign up. either of those will actually continue to track those people through the process. So if they jump onto the race page and they decide to sign up, we're going to track that whole process. Okay. If they jump immediately into the registration process, obviously we're going to see if they complete the registration process. When someone actually completes the registration process, you can pull them up in your participant view for the race. You can go to analytics and you can actually see the referral source for that person. So in this example, it's a website hero image button, which is at the top. It's the hero is usually what they refer to at the top of a page. So with that, you knew that this individual signed up for a race in 2020 and they came through that one campaign. So all of the places that you actually have registration buttons, you can actually update them to use source tracking codes. And all of that data will drop in not just to the dashboard analytics, but into the CRM. And you'll actually be able to run reports on those filtered lists. And I'll show you those in a minute. With our CRM, you actually have the ability to segment your audience. And I sort of talked about it already. We have a whole bunch of different ways to segment the audiences. You can do a geographic location. You can do lifetime participant loyalty, source tracking code, which I talked about. One that I didn't list here is the referral domain name. So if they came from Google, you can actually type in google.com and it'll show you every participant that have signed up for one of your races using Google. The others are demographics, donation amount, fundraising amounts that they've raised, membership type, and then membership loyalty. So if you have a club, you can actually go in and build a segmented list for people that have been members for 5 years. So that's an example of membership loyalty. Once you've created a segment or a list on our platform, you have a whole bunch of different ways to utilize that data. You have a standard CSV export. You can take that export, you can move it to any email platform you want, including our own email marketing engine that we have. You have a custom audience for Facebook, and that is a very unique file that Facebook can consume, and I'll show you that in a minute. Google custom audience, the same thing. It's a file that's built specifically for Google custom audience consumption. And then you have MailChimp. So MailChimp one would immediately send it over to MailChimp and create a list with the same exact name on the MailChimp platform for you. And then finally, you have within the CRM a direct email via promotions. So a Facebook custom audience, that little file that we allow you to export, you can go into Facebook and you have to have a business manager account. And with that, you can actually create a custom audience. It's a little bit wonky to find these pages sometimes on Facebook. So they do have a good search engine in the top upper right of Facebook Ad Manager. And you just type in there custom audience. And with that, it's going to take you to the page. With it, you select customer list. And then from there, it's going to take you through a wizard. There's, I think, 4 steps to that. The one that comes from the CRM currently does not have a loyalty value. We'll be working on that. So the lifetime value for your participants is pretty important. The idea is that you want to market to your participants that are most loyal. What we tend to do is recommend that you filter by a higher loyalty. Therefore, you're going to try and recreate that same demographic or same persona, if you will, of a participant. And a lot of the math that Facebook uses will actually do a pretty good job of matching the list that you give them for lookalikes. So it's going to say, hey, you're going to send them a file that's people that have done your race 5 times. And you have to, I believe, have 1,000 total people in the file. So then you upload it, and Facebook is going to find people generally that match that same persona. So you could upload female 35 and up, done the race 5 times, and now all of a sudden you have a file with about 1,000 people, and you're going to upload it to Facebook, and you're going to let them do the work to find similar people to market your race to. So you would say no for right now. If we do update it, then you would say yes, and you would select the loyalty field. It auto maps everything. We've done all the work. So literally you get to this page and you just upload and create. There's very little work for you guys to create custom audiences. So once you've done this, you actually can create a whole bunch of different custom audiences, and it's very similar to our email marketing campaign engine that you have now. You can create multiple custom audiences. One of them should be current participants. Why? You don't want to spend your money marketing to your current participants. So you will exclude your current participants, and you'll probably want to upload that every month. It's okay if you want to spend more time, upload it every week, right? But the idea is that you want to exclude those current participants. And then you're going to go and create personas that are easier to target. So females are going to want to run with friends. You're probably going to want to have a female picture in your ad, right? Males may be more competitive. Under 30, male. Okay, I know these people are fast. You can create segments like that and now all of a sudden do a totally different ad campaign and do some A/B testing. Again, you're going to have source tracking, so you're going to know which ads work. That's really important. So all you're going to be doing is creating these personas, uploading up to Facebook or Google if you have the option for Google, and running through ads. You can take those same exact lists and you can use them in our email marketing platform. So you have two ways of doing that. You have one way that is the original email marketing platform that we have. You can take the file, manage list, create a list, import it in, and call it whatever you want. This one, I called Loyal 35 and Up. I created 2 races, 35 and up, as the actual list that I created for it, uploaded it into the list manager for the email platform, and now I can send the list, join us at the Scott Coffee Run, and that could be a very specific targeted email to 35 and up people and that they've been loyal. So that could be that exclusivity. If you were in Tom's presentation, you could do some sort of exclusivity because you know they're loyal. You also can do in the CRM a promotion email. You do not have to actually create a coupon code that's used. It does require you to create a coupon code, but you can easily create the coupon code and then delete it. And then put whatever text in you would like in that email and send it out. One of the things that we are working on, probably Q1 to Q2, is a full revision of the email platform for CRM. So you will be able to create these lists. They'll be there, and you will actually be able to quickly send an email to those lists without having to copy that CSV file and import it in, or delete the coupon code and create a coupon code and that stuff. So you'll be able to actually take pretty good quick actions on these lists. All right, so now tracking. This is where RaceInsights comes in. So I've created all these codes, and I've done a link on my homepage, and I've done a MailChimp or RunSignup email. All of these different campaigns that you have will show you the number of page views and the number of signups. Okay, so now all of a sudden you've created campaigns. What I would recommend is these campaigns, you're going to create personas. And it's going to be, again, back to that 35 and up, let's say. You're going to have a campaign that's just for that persona because it's speaking to that person. So that campaign can actually be email. It can be Facebook. It can be Twitter. Now, all of a sudden, you are going in and doing a very specific targeted audience campaign, and you're actually going to be able to tell which of those types of avenues are going to work best for you. The 35 and up traditionally comes via Facebook. You'll know that really quickly with the CRM. And you're going to also be able to break that up, and maybe 6 months in, you're like, I don't like this persona. We're seeing segmentation inside of it that we can do even better, and you'll carve it up even more. So this is literally on a dashboard. Right now, you can pull this up on our Race website, a individual dashboard. You can pull up custom sources and it would show you. Right now, if you had source tracking on all of your sign up, register, whatever button you call it, call to action buttons, if you had source tracking, you would know exactly where your participants were coming from, where your revenue was coming from. If you're doing donations, you would know where your donations are coming from. Okay? So source tracking is very important. Now, once you've done that source tracking, you can take it to the next step, which is, all right, I want to see those participants that have signed up via Facebook. So in this example, I used analytics as the filter. I actually typed in the URL of facebook.com, and then I said, hey, these source tracking links came from Facebook ads or Facebook posts that they created a source tracking code. Now all of a sudden what ends up happening is the 3 source tracking codes gave me about 300 people, but there were a whole bunch more that came in just because they were on Facebook and a friend had posted something about the event. So you have two different ways of sort of finding where your participants came from, and you know that they're really popular on Facebook by including both. So now all of a sudden you have the domain name facebook.com, but you also have campaigns that this organization ran that were Facebook specific campaigns, and it's going to give you a list of 377 people. What I would do from this is I would do A/B testing. All right? These are your people that come in through Facebook. Next year, these are your people that you know you're probably going to end up having to get them via Facebook. These are also the people that you can now go back to Facebook and do a lookalike audience on. Hopefully, you'll have a couple of years worth of this data in 2 years, and you'll be able to go, they're loyal, they come from Facebook. Facebook, find me a whole bunch more like this. And that's going to lower your cost. And the reason is you're like, oh yeah, I got to spend money on ads. But you're giving Facebook very, very targeted people that you're trying to duplicate. And you can do this across fundraising, donations, membership. You can do the exact same type of thing across all of the different avenues. And we will be adding volunteers, by the way, as we rebuild that volunteer platform Bob was talking about. So the key takeaway from my point of view is segment, promote, and track. I covered a fair amount, but really there's a lot more to it. There's a little bit more of you having to do the work on setting up Facebook custom audiences. And our goal long-term is to actually have it much like MailChimp, so that when you go, hey, I want to create a custom audience, they're just going to actually go over to Facebook if you've logged into Facebook on our platform and created the campaign for you, or at least the audience for you. So then you can quickly take action on those audiences. And I believe we'll probably end up doing the same for your participant list, so that you don't have to always upload who's the current participants, and they'll automatically get excluded as they register. The RunSignup platform is completely integrated. So there is a lot of live data that is being dumped into the actual CRM. We're doing our best right now to improve the record linking and getting it so that we know that Eric Cohn signed up with Eric Cohn at Gmail or Eric at RunSignup, and that's the same human being and the same contact. So we're improving that, and that'll probably come through Q1 also of this year. And then from there, the enhancements for email will continue to evolve over the next probably 6 to 12 months. We're really excited about the enhancements to the email platform that we're bringing forward. The filters that we'll be adding as well in the next 6 to 12 months are pretty impressive. We have a list of about probably 200 different filters that we'll be adding. So one of the things that Brian mentioned, and I tried to leave as much time as possible, is that Brian mentioned the ability to take a multi-race, like Andy in the back, who has a series of events in Northern Virginia, and he wants to know, hey, how many people have signed up across these two races? So on our platform, we currently don't have the best way to do that, but I'm going to show you a way to actually solve that problem. All right, so what I did is Scott Coffey is one of Bob's races. And the other race that Bob's loosely affiliated with is the Moorestown Turkey Trot. So I went in and created a Scott and TT list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So really quickly, I added the Moorestown Turkey Trot 2019 and the Scott Coffey Run 2019. So now this is everyone that did both. Either or, right? I could do both or I could do one. It's a combined list. Then what I did is that you can export that list after you've saved it and do all fields. We will be adding, probably in the next couple weeks, a filtered loyalty list count. So now all of a sudden you would be able to go, all right, I'm going to pull up this Excel file and I'm going to show you how many people did 2 versus 1. And then you would just go into Excel and go, I want everyone that did both. And now you would have a list of everyone that did 2. Let me see if I can show you what I did in the short term to pull that off. So in Excel, here is an export. And it's very, very small. But I added really quickly some simple math in Excel to do the loyalty list. So with that, I did the filtered loyalty, and you can actually calculate it. And it's very sort of simplistic calculation. All I did was say, hey, how many times is a comma? And the registration IDs. And it's really simple. So we're going to actually do that work for you. But the idea is now all of a sudden I want to know, and I think Eric, you mentioned it, I want to know how many people did last year's race, or I did one of your other races, but came in for the first time ever to this series. You can do that in our CRM. You actually can. So there's just a little bit of extra work right now. You would go in and say, all right, I want to see everyone that did a cider run, and you put in all the cider runs, and now came in and did one of the pumpkin runs. And you could actually go in and say, all right, here's this cider run and this pumpkin run. Did they do both? So you can do that now. You could also do it across the whole series, Andy. And the reason why this is important is our registration for multi-race allows them to get in. So now all of a sudden they can get into all 5 of a backyard burn series, right? So now they can get into all 5 races. But what happens if they defer? Or they transfer out? Or they do a bib exchange, right? Now they're not a part of the series anymore. They did 4 out of the 5. So with this, you would actually be able to know that they did 4 out of the 5. They do not get the reward for doing all 5 or signing up for all 5. What if they decide, hey, I'm going to sign up for 3. And then they get to the 3rd one and they go, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and sign up for the last 2 anyway. Now all of a sudden they're a part of the series, but they didn't use the multi-race. So the idea is that CRM should be able to help you identify those people. We're going to improve that over the next 3 months. You'll probably be able to run really great reports on that specific use case. I know that Rich is really working hard on it right now already. So I've been working with Rich to try and identify some of the false positives and false negatives of identifying people. And hopefully we get that really dialed in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then from there, we'll add some reporting that'll allow you to do that. So why is that important? Come to the multi-race bundles. I'll show you why getting people into a race via bundle will drive additional revenue. And that's marketing your race. So are there any questions?
Question for you on the referrals. It looks like, at least on mine, probably others, the Facebook referrals, there's 2 of them. One is from Facebook from like a desktop, and then the other one is at m.facebook.
That'd be mobile.
So when you do your lists up there and you say, I want Facebook, does that include both sources?
It does. So it is, you can actually do a generic just Facebook itself, and it will capture both. Okay. You don't even have to put .com. All it's doing is an N is the word that you're putting in. So you would want to be very specific. If you are using a generic word like run, it could cover multiple domain names. Any other questions?
Might be a stupid email question, but does it know when you have like a repeat on your email list? Like if you merge a couple lists, will it know you have to send out 3 emails to that person that's on 3 different lists?
So this is actually email marketing specific, but it's a good question. So the question is, does a email that go out get deduplicated? So let's say I create 3 lists and I want to send it to those 3 lists. Am I going to send 3 emails to Eric because he's on all 3 lists? And the short answer is no. If you're using replacement tags, it does not deduplicate. If you do not use replacement tags and it's a generic, don't talk to Eric, right? You're making a generic email, then it does deduplicate. When you use replacement tags in emails, we're expecting to be communicating specifically to a person, right? So therefore, you use a replacement tag, you want to do some deduplication. CRM is actually going to be your friend because CRM does deduplicate on a contact. So then it becomes 1 email for Eric, but if Eric signed up his wife, then an email will go to Eric for Eric and an email will go to Eric for Megan. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But if Eric was in 3 lists, you're going to have 3 emails for Eric, Eric, Eric. Yes, Andy?
Can you remind us how unsubscribes are handled and whether it's different at the race level versus partner level?
Yeah, sure. Emails are handled separate for race and partner. So we use a platform called SendGrid. Okay, SymGrid is owned by a publicly traded company. It's a great platform, and SymGrid accounts are created for every race and every partner account. In the probably next 3 to 6 months, we're actually going to have one for every CRM that we have. And therefore, you're going to be able to say, hey, you know what? Someone signs up. The other thing that we're looking at is potentially changing the unsubscribe, but we need to see if SymGrid will support it. So we've talked through the idea that canned spam, technically, if someone signs up for your race a second year after they've unsubscribed, they should be resubscribed in. So we're trying to find out if SymGrid will support that, and that would allow them to resubscribe back in.
One thing I thought I heard in the past is that if you're sending like just race announcements or whatever, those should go through your race level.
Yes.
Because somebody can unsubscribe from a race, but that doesn't necessarily mean they also unsubscribe when you have a partner account.
Correct. 100%.
It is two independent things.
Yep.
Or actually, all of so it's like you have 10 races. Are every single one of those races
separate
independently from an unsubscribed perspective?
Yes. So what we highly recommend is not marketing via the race unless it's a smaller race operation and they only have that, right? We recommend trying not to overwhelm your participant base via the race email platform, but instead go to a partner level and market via that. And the reason is unsubscribes happen, and then if you have a cancellation or a race date change or course change or packet pickup change or any type of change that you need to communicate at the last minute, you go to the race email platform and you can communicate quickly and they're going to get the email. And that'll be, like I said, probably 3 to 6 months. That'll get isolated out from CRM as well. So then you'd still be able to use your race email and then still go into the CRM platform and it would be isolated as well. Any other CRM questions? Marketing?
Well, just clarification on that. When you're talking about that would just be within CRM, not I think you're using MailChimp.
Correct. MailChimp is a third party, complete third party. And with MailChimp, we send a list over when someone subscribes, or registers, they become a subscriber to a list that we've auto-created in MailChimp. And then that is, in a sense, what we're trying to duplicate on our platform. So when someone re-registers for your race year over year, if they unsubscribed last year, they should be resubscribed. I think that's it. Did I go over? Way under? I could do more. Any other questions? I really don't have a problem answering any question. You can cover any topic. So how many of you guys have sellout races? Anyone? How many of you guys are leveraging the sellout race to drive registration on others? Any? None? Come on. All right, so Tom was talking about exclusivity. If you have a sellout race, you guys need to seriously consider using that sellout race with a handful of spots. Guaranteed entry into X race that's a sellout if you sign up for Y race. It's a no-brainer. And when we talk about the Philadelphia Marathon Marathon's growing year over year over year, 3 years in a row. I think they were at 25 or 26,000 people. This last year they did 32,000. Why? In part because they allow you to get guaranteed entry into the Broad Street Run, which is a sellout race, if you sign up for the Philadelphia Challenge. Okay? They didn't offer that 3 years ago. This is going into the third year now. Every year, the number of people that have found out about the Philadelphia Challenge has increased, and the number of people that have used it has increased, and the marathon has increased. So that would be a great way to offer exclusivity into a race. The New York City Marathon is the exact same thing. They have it so strict, though, that they have to sign up, I believe, for 7 different races to get guaranteed entry into the marathon in New York. So consider that as another way to grow some of your other races. I tried to cover a fair amount pretty quickly. I guess I did a little better than I thought I would. Any other questions? Yep.
versus date. Do you see the advantage to one or the other, and how would you create that in your sign-up?
So we do support tiered-based pricing, or buckets, or however you want to call it. There is a marketing model to that, where you create a campaign for that day, and you literally are going to go, hey, the first 100 are going to get in at $10, and it's going to jump for every 100 that get in by another $5. I've tended to see that as races that are really trying to get name acquisition and get a whole bunch of new participants in and not worried about the bottom line for that year, because it's phenomenal, like getting a whole bunch of people in the door really quickly, because you can have a marketing campaign around, we're going to do tiered based pricing on this day, and you can actually have a full campaign around that. So that's not a bad model, but if you have a really well-established road race, you might be able to pull it off and get a little bit of buzz going for that one day and not hurt your actual bottom line. It's just a different model. Any other questions? I thought someone in the back. Yes, Tom.
There was a question in the earlier segment about how many price increases should be done over a 10 to 12 month period. What do you typically see on the platform?
So the question was, how many price adjustments are there traditionally for a race? How many times do they do price adjustments? And I actually did a little bit of modeling for the Philadelphia Marathon last year, and they wanted to increase revenue, and they were like, hey, do we add more price adjustments or do we just increase price? And all we did was move the price adjustments just a little. We bumped them up by, I think, 30 days or 45 days in some cases. Why? All the people that were signing up early were paying a little bit more money. And then all of a sudden they added one more for 2 of the races at the very end. I think every race distance and every actual race needs to be a little bit unique. And I would be a little bit concerned that our industry is becoming more and more like the paddling industry. If anyone has ever gone whitewater paddling, right? If you go whitewater paddling, what do? Oh man, they jack the price up at the very end. Right? So if you decide at the last minute that you want to paddle, it's going to be like $100 to go paddling. But if you sign up 365 days earlier, it's $10, right? So the idea is that the industry right now is seeing so many people sign up at the very end. Are we pushing people away by having a price point that is double the early entry? And that would be a question that I would have for some of you guys. Are you seeing... Do you believe that the millennials who like to sign up late are pushed away by this higher price point? And then the other thing that I would question some of you on, thanks, Andrew. The other thing that I would consider a big factor in the industry right now is the race entry fee is peanuts. And we were talking about the heat map, right? So I did a meeting with that organization actually. And what we talked about was, if we did an expo in DC for packet pickup, just a packet pickup expo, little tiny, anyone in DC, they don't have to travel to Richmond to get their bibs. Would they see a huge number of people that are willing to drive down for the day to do the race in Richmond, but didn't want to get a hotel? Because the overall cost of a race is not your entry fee. Right? It's people traveling. So now all of a sudden, if they have 2 hours of their time is a big factor for people. The millennials actually consider time very important. It was the number one thing that came back on the feedback from that organization from a millennial audience was, I want express bib pickup. They want, just like you can go order your groceries and have them delivered to your car, the millennials wanted to be able to go to the packet pickup location and have someone walk the bibs out to them, right? So my point to you would be either offer some sort of model like that, mail it. There's a lot of people that will pay the extra $20 for a bib mailing. But another big factor is, can you offer a bib pickup location in their city? So if you have sister cities that are 45 an hour away, can you do bib pickup? I mean, we have dynamic check-in app. That's phenomenal. I could teach my mom how to use it. I'm not kidding. My mom would pick it up and go, oh, this is simple. It is that simple. Put it in the hands of someone that is at a store. Find a partner. It could be Dick's Sporting Goods. It could be the smallest running store. It could be anyone. Find partners that will allow you to do the pickup in a sister city. Why? Because now all of a sudden those runners that may not have a race that they like in their city at that time, on a Friday night, they don't have to drive the extra hour to get a bib and then back home and then back out Saturday morning.
Would you charge extra for that service?
I think it's up to the organization. If you have a higher cost, I would consider it. I mean, think about the gas savings and the time savings and everything else. If they're out of town, you can do an out of town. The example that, obviously, I'm in Richmond. One of the clients that I've worked with for 15 years is Sports Backers in Richmond. They literally speak to my heart because they promote active living and active lifestyles in Richmond. So when I went into their office, we had a, do we kill the Expo? Literally, they have a race with 28,000 people, and what is the next generation of Expo? The core audience there was like, hey, it's got its purpose. And then the millennial audience was, we want to be able to do the express line checkout. So, I think that if you're looking at it from a ease of running your race, if you can do a packet pickup in a sister city for $5, yeah, you probably can get someone to pay $5 to do that. I mean, they're going to save $5 on gas, and you can pay someone at that point. Any other questions? We're way off topic.
Eric, you talked about price jumps costing us money at the end to deter people from signing up. You talked in the previous session about creating urgency. What are some other examples of ways to create urgency without a price jump?
So ways to create urgency without a price jump. The easiest is your event is filling up, right? It's economics, supply and demand. And it doesn't have to actually be that your event is filling up. She talked about tiers. So that's the exact same idea. Sense of urgency, you're going to have a higher price, or you can do exclusivities of everyone that signs up by this point. So a good example is one of the ways that Philadelphia grew their 25th year, which was 2 years ago, was they gave the first 1,000 people a blanket that signed up, right? So you give them some sort of exclusivity. You're going to fill up if you don't sign up now. So that creates a false sense of urgency. What's the ROI? What's the cost? You have to bake that into your marketing plan of what you're going to give them away to create that sense.
So is there good evidence that creating a sense of urgency to get people to sign up actually gets results in more sign-ups?
Depends on how good your campaign is.
The reason why I asked the question, I think for some of our races, we're seeing through promotional stuff, we're seeing people sign up earlier, but at the end of the day, we're not seeing an increase in participants.
Every market is a little different, and every race organization is a little different. If you're having a whole bunch of people sign up earlier and it's not helping you grow, then I would look at referral rewards, because the earlier adopters are the ones that are most vocal. So the ones that are signing up early, if you don't have rewards programs set up for those early adopters, then you're not going to get the late growth. So that's the first thing I would say.
Yeah, teams.
Yeah, along with teams. There's a huge benefit to doing teams. And that teams can be generic enough of families as well, or clubs or anything like that.
Thanks, Derek.